don't know this battle.
This was the siege of Mandalore. We had parted ways by now.
Looks intense.
It was.
You did well. You're a warrior now, as I trained you to be.
Is that all?
Ahsoka, within you will be everything I am. All the knowledge I possess. Just as I inherited knowledge from my master, and he from his. We're part of a legacy.
But my part of that legacy is one of death and war.
But you're more than that. Because I'm more than that.
You are more, Anakin. But more powerful and dangerous than anyone realized.
Is that what this is about?
If I am everything you are...
You've learned nothing.
Don't say that!
Back to the beginning. I gave you a choice. Live. Or die.
No.
Incorrect. You lack conviction. Trying to die.
I choose to live.
There's hope for you yet.
Ahsoka, Ahshowka, ooh, I wanna talk about some Star Wars, some Jedi. Soon you'll realize I don't know much about her, but that never stops me. Ahsoka, Mandalorian man. That's the name of this podcast show. But you already know I talk about more than that. Star Wars and Disney Plus. If it's live action, then I must record myself as I discuss a galaxy long ago. Like the Ahsoka show. Ahsoka, Ahshowka, ooh, I wanna talk about some Star Wars, some Jedi. Soon you realize I don't know much about her. Ooh, welcome to the Ahsoka, Ahshowka. Each week I'll talk about an episode without taking one note. of the Ahsoka show. The song is through. May the force be with you.
Greetings, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to The Mandalorian Man Presents the Ahshowka, and I'm here to talk about Part 5 of Ahsoka Shadow Warrior. Is this the longest episode thus far, I believe? And yet, I was trying to boil down the plot of this episode. Like what, maybe not the plot, because the plot thickens? No, the plot, the actual plot, what actually happened. There is stuff that we saw, but what actually happened? Hera gets to whatever space planet that Ahsoka and Sabine were on. She looks for them. She can't find them. She does see Hu Yang. And he's like, I told them to stay. He's holding her Mandalorian, Sabine's Mandalorian helmet, and says, I told them to stay together. I told them to be together. They never do. They never stay together. So Hera tries to track them down. Her son, Jason, has some sort of ability, and he's like, can you hear that? You can hear. And she's like, the waves crashing? No, the lightsabers. And she's like, stay here with Chopper. I think that's his name. And she goes out with the X-Wing pilots, finds Ahsoka, who is lying in the water. We'll get to that because that's pretty much the cool stuff that happens in this episode. But most of the cool stuff in this episode is actually not actually happening, if that makes sense. So they get her out of the water. She comes to and she's like, oh, where's Sabine? I don't know, but the last time I saw her, she was holding the map. So she kind of uses the Force to read the map and feel Sabine and realize that she was taken by Ray Stevenson, Baylor Skull or something. Skull. Oh, Baylan Skull. I was so close. And they're like, well, how are we going to find them? And she figures it out. Space whales. Space whales is how we're going to find them. So they go up and she communes with the space whales. And somehow she connects with them. It reminded me a little of the Avatar 2, where like one of the fish boys talked to a space, not a space whale there. I mean, it was from another planet, an alien whale, and they kind of had this communication. It reminded me of that a little bit. And the whale was like, get in my mouth. He didn't say it, but that's like, she just kind of figured that, okay, I guess we're going. And they think, because they were using, remember they mentioned something about the path that the whales take. And again, I'm sure they're not called space whales, but I'm calling them that. And what's the path they're taking? That's where they're going to get to wherever they're going. So she's like, I'm going to get in the space whale with my spaceship and my robot, and I'm going. And they go. And it's kind of, that's what happened in this episode. You know, she was knocked out in the fight. She woke up, and in the fight with Baylan Skull, she woke up, and she was like, whoa, where's Sabine? Oh, I don't know, but she was taken. How are we going to track her? I know how. Space whales. Get in the space whale's belly, and let's go track her. Boom, the end of the episode. I mean, obviously, I'm oversimplificating things very much, but that's kind of what actually happened, you know, in this episode, in the action of it. I'm moving my microphone, so I apologize for any weird sound. The actual, you know, physically, this is what happened. But Let's be honest. All the cool stuff, all of it, was Ahsoka in this dream world. Now, what I don't know, Star Wars fans, is was this 100% in her subconscious, some subconsciousness? I think I said that right. Or did she actually travel someplace? So I saw after the episode last week that someone said, it's the world between worlds. And I said, damn it. See, it's another thing. Another thing that I don't know about that has to do with Rebels and Star Wars and the such, or the Clone Wars. I guess this one was made for Rebels. So, the hardcore fans are like, whoa, there she is. And I'm like, oh, wow, she's in Spaceland. I don't know where the heck she is, but it's some sort of a space dreamland. Okay, cool. That's all I got out of it. But I at least looked it up to find the name of it. It is called The World Between Worlds. And it makes me think of the space between space, and that, in some people's favorite Indiana Jones film. Okay, nobody's favorite Indiana Jones film, but that's what it reminded me of. So Disney really is making the best they can, getting as much out of Hayden Christensen as they possibly can, bringing him back for this show. But it makes sense. It makes sense that he was in Obi-Wan Kenobi because he was such a major part of Obi-Wan Kenobi's life, and of course where his life ended up. And it makes sense that he is in this show because he is such a major part of Ahsoka's life, and especially her early life and her training. Well, I guess primarily her early life and her training. And so seeing that now again, I'm asking you, was this real in a way that she was actually talking to a spirit, a soul of Anakin, or is this just her way of kind of working out all her stuff, trying to figure out how to do things? Do I fight? Wasn't the whole thing of like, I don't want to fight. Should I fight? You either fight or die. That seemed to be like, why was she seeing this? She needed to kind of figure things out on her own. And this is just the way that it was personified with her master, whatever you want to call him. I guess, I don't know. But it was made for a lot of cool things. Now, again, I've seen like 3 episodes of Clone Wars. So, but even with that, when I saw that they were having a little battle, which was cool, and he sliced like the platform that she was on, she fell. When she landed, she was her younger self. And first you didn't realize it. You didn't realize how small she was until you started seeing the clone troopers coming through. And I thought, oh, cool. So this was, now for the hardcore fans, you're probably like, yes. Or you're like, wait a minute, she wasn't wearing that outfit back then. But to me, it was just, it was even cool for me, the guy who kind of knows this stuff. And we got to see different levels of Anakin based on the look on his face, and the length of his hair. And she's in the middle of a war. He's like, why are we doing this? And almost like she kind of looked at it. This whole vision was seeing it through a different lens of the war, because she experienced this before. But she's like, why am I here? I don't want to fight. He goes, well, if you don't fight, you die. But he's like, you got to make up your decision. You got to make your own mind up, stuff like that. Mind you, I just finished watching it, so I'm skimming through it again, I think it makes sense. Well, I think what I'm saying is kind of correct. But it was the cool visuals of all of a sudden seeing him like leave, and when he leaves, he walks away, and we get one brief moment where it flickers, and it's Darth Vader, not Anakin, as they lead off, and sees her standing there alone. We get another vision of her a little older. I didn't know if this was the same like if they did a cool job and it was the same actress that they slapped her face on the kid, because I was like, wow, it seemed like an older version of the exact same actress. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. Anakin has got his hair a little longer. And then they start fighting. He pulls out his red lightsaber. This was did they say the Purge of Mandalore? Now, wouldn't that be the fight that started off the Mandalorian and him as a youngling and his family being taken? Wasn't that? Am I, again, I don't know. I'm trying to connect things. But he starts fighting. You see the red in his eyes, and it's like, oh snap, he's evil. And they fight. We get more flashes. We get some flashes of Darth Vader. I thought at one point he was going to come out completely as Darth Vader because, actually I shouldn't say that, because they would have never fought, right? Her and Darth Vader. Again, I don't know. Maybe they did in Rebels. I assume Rebels takes place with Darth Vader already being Darth Vader. And she's part of the Rebel Alliance. And she's just older, but not as old as she is now. He did Mark. He did, she's like, you look so young. He's like, you look so old. Or you look the same, I think is what she said. Something like that. It don't matter. But they go to fight, and she kind of stops. She stops fighting and just looks at him. And you see him, it's like they do this cool little thing where the look on his face and his eyes are red, and then he looks down and looks back up, and he's got a little smirk, and he's smiling, and it's like, you've passed your training. And I like how they visualize the water coming up around her. You realize she's been underwater this whole time, and apparently she can hold her breath longer than Tom Cruise, which is very impressive. She comes to, she wakes up. We got to see her without her little hat, whatever you call it, the little bandana, beret, whatever you call it. So I always wondered, I'm like, you see with Hera and with her, this makes it a lot easier for them to kind of put that special, appliance on their head, the special effect appliance. But it was cool to see it without, to show this. That's what our head looks like. For all you people out there who don't know, and I'm one of those people who did not know. So I kind of talked about when they rescue her, and she figures out to use the space whales to travel. I was like, this is going to take forever. I thought that. And then I said, oh, they can travel at light speed. Is that the first organic creature in the Star Wars lore that can travel at, hyperspeed, hyperspace, light speed, ludicrous speed, whatever you want to call it? Is I don't know. Maybe in the books there are more or other creatures that can do this on their own, but I just wondered if this is the only one, or at least the first one that was, created. Do they? Very cool. Kind of a cool answer to, getting to where they need to get. But Hera couldn't go with her. She has some splaining to do back with the Republic. They did mention, did they call her Admiral or General or something Organa? And that was for everyone who is listening to this knows, that's Princess Leia. So that was cool. Then I thought, they did it in Rogue One. This is well after Rogue One. Could they do it again where we get not a digitally de-aged Carrie Fisher, but a digitally completely created Carrie Fisher? Would they do that? Well, damn it, you've seen in these movies, they would do that. They would do it, but will they do it? I wonder. The big thing for this one was seeing Anakin. This was like a big, fan service episode. It felt like to me, because really, plot-wise, they're just like, where are you? I found you. Where's Sabine? I know where Sabine is. Let's go. Well, I can't go with you. Okay. She's got things to answer to with the Republic, because Hera went and to help Ahsoka without the approval. She wasn't approved. This is an approved mission. They send the cavalry to go get her and get Ahsoka, and she actually has the X-wing dude stall so that Ahsoka can leave, and it worked. And actually, that was really cool. The whales were coming and like, you better move, and they got out of the way to get their migration path, is what they said, I think. And now we're at the point now where stuff really needs to happen. And I don't say that as in like, oh, there's not enough happened. Like, I don't want to be like a complainer or one of those nerds. I'm a different kind of nerd. What I mean is, I feel like we're gearing up to a lot of face-to-faces and she's on her own. It's her and her robot. So Hera's back dealing with the New Republic stuff. I don't know what that means. I don't know how much we're going to have of her. I don't know if she's going to be back with Ahsoka, but we're going to be dealing with Ahsoka, dealing with Sabine, probably trying to, I don't know if it's, needing to repair things with Sabine, because she didn't turn on Ahsoka. She just really wants to get to Ezra. And what's better than Ezra? Well, Thrawn is, really, as far as I'm concerned. I want to see Thrawn. And I was looking up on the Libby app, which is the library app that we have, we have. But it's the app that my library uses to get books. And I was looking for Thrawn books. I want the Dark Force Rising book. I'm going to probably buy it. But I want to read it, and then I want to read these three, and then I'm going to read the other Thrawn trilogy that Timothy Zahn put out. Because I like books. But maybe that second one is in canon. I'm not sure. I think it did come out after Disney took over. Either way, I think it's like about Thrawn's rise to power, which I'm all in. I'm all in and interested in. And at some point, eventually I'm going to watch these cartoons. But I got one tweet. Not one tweet. I was talking to someone on Twitter, Jimmy of Bayhor. Did I say that right? Or is it Bajor? Vampire Deez, Deez on Twitter, X. No, I'm not calling it X. It's Twitter. And he was saying he likes that I haven't. And he goes, as someone who's seen all the cartoons, he says, I'm glad that I haven't. There's big surprises coming, and I think it'll be cool you haven't seen the older shows. Oh, if you think that's cool, then it's going to be very cool, Jimmy, because I will definitely not see these shows before this series, this season, this show. If it's one season, I have no idea, ends. That's weird. When I click on Twitter, it says Ahsoka Tano's trending, Anakin Skywalker's trending, and Dave Filoni's trending. Now, I know why Anakin and Ahsoka are trending, but why Dave Filoni? I mean, he created this show, and he's written, I think, all the episodes. But I wonder, are they complaining, or are they okay with it? What else happened in this episode? I know we saw Mon Mothma again. And she was like, do you have any evidence of Thrawn? Do you have any evidence of any of this stuff? So Hera seems like she is in deep doo-doo with the upper, with management. She's got to deal with management. I always love when I have a manager who's like, I'll deal with this. You just do your work. And that's what it seems like Hera's doing with Ahsoka. She's like, just go. Do what you got to do. I'll deal with all this. And you see she's got to deal with this, but you can kind of see she's almost like, whatever, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with the X-Wing guy. They're coming. They need answers. I'll deal with that too. I'll deal with it all. And I'm interested to learn more about her little green-haired son, Jason with a C. And see, because I don't know. You guys know what Jason, he maybe has the power of the super force, and that's why he can hear the world between worlds. I was going to say he can hear fighting lightsaber underwater, but it isn't underwater. It's in this dream realm or whatever this is. And this kid can hear it. So, and I wonder, what else he can do. Ooh. Or what he will grow. What will he? I was going to say he's not in the sequel trilogy that we know of, so we don't know what he grows up to be unless the people in Rebels do. I don't know, but my God, I feel like I barely talked about this episode, and yet I can't think of anything else to talk about in this episode. I'm skimming through it as we speak. Some cool, really, it's all about Ahsoka and Anakin back together, even if it is some sort of dream sequence. I believe you can get me through the night. And I mean, and it's getting Ahsoka to, where she needs to be. As far as like the majority of the cast, the people that we're used to seeing, Morgan Elsmith, Shin Hati, Baylan Skoll, Sabine Wren, none of them are in this episode. Not a one. So all I could say is I enjoyed it, but it's not a huge one to discuss for me because I'm not as well versed in probably all these different references we saw. I loved when she attacked. Didn't we hear Tamora Morrison? Is that his name? I hope so. Didn't we hear basically Boba Fett's voice? He was one of the clones. They brought him back, right? So that was cool. I did like when she approached one of the clone troopers and he put his hand on her like, thank you for kind of tending to me. She looked at another one. I thought there was going to be some sort of connection. There wasn't. And seeing Hayden Christensen, that's what this whole episode's about. He was teased in the last one. He plays a major part in this one. I assume that's it. Though it would be pretty freaking rad if he shows up as a Force ghost at the end. And you kind of get that little like promise that he will always be there I guess not always be there because Obi-Wan left at one point. Oh no, he didn't. He came back at the end. Man, I with Hayden Christensen, depending on what version you saw. So it would be cool to see him show up as a I was going to say space ghost, Force ghost, which I don't even know if that's what it's actually called. I think I got that from Star Wars Minute, but forever that's what it means to me. And because I said it once, and my friend's like, "What?" I said, "Oh, maybe that isn't what it's called, but it is to me. It is to me." I think that's it. I think I've covered everything I want to say. As I've said it I've said it many, many times. Maybe not 1,000, but I've said it multiple times. Plot-wise, like story-wise, it just kind of got us to the next step of getting to where we need to get to. But really the star of this, the gold of this episode, the gems of this episode, I don't know, I'm thinking of all kinds of expensive things of this episode. Gems, gold, I don't know what I'm talking about. Gold's Gym. I've never been to Gold's Gym. What the hell am I talking about? Oh yeah, I'm getting tired. But I think the main thing was all the cool references with Anakin, the Darth Vader stuff, the Clone Wars stuff. I mean, for the hardcore fans, it must have been just awesome. It was awesome to see for me. But for you guys who know every reference, it must have been a beautiful, beautiful thing. But yeah, I think we're going to call it. So, I got to say, thank you so much for listening and subscribing. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Threads and Mastodon.social at Geek Mentality. It's everywhere. Follow me. Come on. You can find us on Facebook at Fans Not Experts, because that's the name of the website, fansnotexperts.com. If you go to fansnotexperts.com /Mandalorian, you'll see every episode of The Mandalorian Man. That's the Ahshowka, the Pod of Boba Fett, Obi-Pod Kenobi, The Mandalorian Man, and of course, Andor with Kandor. If they keep making these live action shows, I'll be talking about them. Again, with as little preparation and as little knowledge as a Star Wars podcast can possibly have, I am looking to achieve that. And I think I'm doing it. I think I'm nailing it. So, until next time, yes, of course, you can... Oh, I already told you where you can find me. Well, go do it. Right now, I'll wait. Okay, I won't wait. But I do want to thank you. For the fact that people, if you're still here now, tweet at Geek Mentality. The code word is cinnamon. Just to let me know you're still here. Otherwise, that's it. I'm done. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for subscribing. And until next Tuesday, my friends, may the Force be with you. Oh, yeah, she said it. Hera said, may the Force be with you. Yes, that was so great to hear.
Fans not experts.